Oh, look at that car. My boy, that's gonna be my car.
Yeah, nigga, that same rusty ass car 15 years from now.
Create something. At least create.
We are here at our first ever Canna Talk, and we are basically going to be talking about the cannabis regulations, pretty much the daily stuff that happens at my job, and pretty much just everything cannabis that's happening on in California and even beyond. So, I first wanted to start this off just by introducing the stream, introducing myself, my background, and why I even started doing this really in the first place. So, my name is Eric Robinson. I grew up in San Francisco in the Bay Area. As far as my cannabis background, I started smoking when I was a junior in high school, like the junior year going into senior year. But yeah, so that was pretty much how I started off. Was really more of an edible person than anything. Didn't really smoke too much. But yeah, I eventually went on to college where I got more and more cannabis experience. Dabbed a little bit. Went through my whole dabbing phase, and but what I can say is that I learned quite a bit going into college about what cannabis does and what it can do, and after working for a delivery service, which was my very first ever real job, I guess. I was getting paid under the table. By the way, I'll keep all of the names, like as far as where I'm working and where I used to work, any of that stuff. I'll keep all of that out just to save face, I guess. But yeah, I started working off for a delivery service, and that's kind of where I really got my, I guess, customer service practice in, because you definitely meet a whole bunch of different people working in the cannabis industry. And the one thing I noticed the most was that, you can never really judge a book by its cover. You could have the oldest ladies thinking that, they don't smoke, or, they're just coming in for a topical or something like that. And yet they'll ask for, what is the finest kush that you got? And I'll take an ounce of it. It was so weird how I stopped working there. I was in school. This was my freshman year, right? I had to go away for Christmas break, obviously, because I live in the city. I went to college down in Monterey. So, obviously I had to go home for winter break and and have Christmas with the family. So, I told him that, and he was like, okay, cool. I'll see you when you get back. And then I get back, and then I called him, and then he never calls me back. And I mean by my boss. So I called him, he never calls me back. I was waiting for him to call me because I was pretty much on call. That's kind of how that job worked. It's hilarious. That was like back in the good days. So like when I used to get paid under the table and get paid like $200-300 a day, and then get floated some weed on top of that, which was kind of sick. But yeah, obviously times are a lot different now, especially in California. But back to my story. Yeah, he never called me back, so that job was done. Pretty much didn't get another cannabis job until my junior year of college. Yeah. So I was pretty much living where I'm at right now in this house, and one of my roommates comes home and is like, "Yo, there's a new dispensary open." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And it was also in a area where, not very many people would be okay with having cannabis around. I had to go check it out, see what was up, because mind you, there was only one dispensary in Monterey. One dispensary. I'm sure that's like how many of you are right now. One dispensary probably in your state. But yeah, so I went to go check it out. There were some cool people. Went there probably like 3 or 4 more times. They were a small shop then, and they weren't really getting too much traffic. So, of course, I had to ask, like, if they were accepting bud tenders. They said yes, and I told them I had little experience in cannabis industry. I worked for a delivery service, and they were like, "Cool, that's more than enough qualifications. So you're already good." So got in right away, started out at front desk. Front desk was chill. Literally, it was literally just you just chilled the whole time. You pretty much didn't do anything, especially given the fact that the place was still kind of new. Probably started working for them maybe a month after they actually opened. I was with them for like about 2 years or so. So started off at front desk. It was pretty much just, taking people's IDs, writing it down on the Excel sheet. Boy, the Excel sheet, yo. We kept all of our records of everyone down on an Excel sheet, which had like their medical card thing, their little number, their name, phone number, address. But yeah, every time there was a new patient, I had to personally check that person in by writing in all of the stuff in that Excel sheet, and then making sure, and I had to go to like a DMV website to make sure that their ID was valid, and then go to another website to make sure that the doctor's license was even valid. I'm sure like before, and even probably, and that's still now, you can do all that just by like swiping the card through the thing, and it's all easily able to be looked up, you know. Yeah, I thought that was so odd, the fact that that's how they were doing things, and it made me just instantly assume that's how everybody else was doing things. But it doesn't matter what it is, every dispensary is different, based on how they run things, how they treat their patients, how they treat their employees. It is very different. Finished at front desk, was at front desk for maybe like a couple weeks, and then they moved me over to being a bud tender. And that's when I really started to gain all of my cannabis knowledge, because that way I was working one-on-one with patients and, you know, actually learning about what cannabis does and like what it can do, what are the different cannabinoids, what are the terpenes, blah blah blah. Those are all for more cannabis talks, I can guarantee you that. They were in one spot, and then they were getting a lot of heat from people that were living in the area trying to kick them out. So they eventually did get kicked out. We were surely trying to stay, but I guess it wasn't gonna work out that way. So moved out, right, and moved over to a new spot, which was actually behind a smoke shop, which was incredible. Of course, I had to take breaks and stuff for school and things like that, and especially since going into my senior year of college, I was going through a lot of stuff, finals, and trying to do, you know, you guys call it a final thesis, we call it a capstone project. But yeah, trying to do that and trying to work all at the same time was definitely crazy. From there, I moved with them to the new spot, worked there for a little while, but it was getting old, not gonna lie. And also, mind you, when they moved over to the new spot, all of the old people that were at the old spot dissipated and left. So it was pretty much me and one other person that were the OGs of that place. And yet I can tell you that they did not treat us like the OGs, I could tell you that. So I was definitely getting passed up by a lot of people, getting like raises. Well, not really raises, but getting more responsibility, which, you know, for me, if you get more responsibility, that in terms for me is a raise. So me nor him were moving up. We were pretty much just staying as bud tenders that whole time that everybody else was moving up the scales. So in my senior year of college, I was actually trying to make my own cannabis POS system. I could tell you that, given that I even have a business entrepreneurship degree, it doesn't mean, well, it means a lot, but it doesn't mean that you can just make a business and it just be perfect. I wish it was like that, you know, but it's surely not. Yeah, so I tried to make a cannabis POS system, being a business guy, going in on a more technological industry. And given that all the POS systems right now are all made by people that are not really dealing with the POS day to day, I'm in there day to day. Why can't I do it? For many, many reasons. And programmers is for one. Because of course they don't like to work for no pay. Who likes to work for no pay? But when you're investing time like that, where it should be a job and you ain't getting paid for it, yeah, okay. Was making that and didn't really work out too well. But within that company, I was able to gain more connections, and I was able to find the place I'm at right now. And mind you, I'm still a bud tender, by the way. Not right now, but I was when I first started. So when I first got to the new spot, they were just opening. This is a brand new spot, and they're just opening for the first time. They need bud tenders, they need staff in general. So one of my friends in that POS group had told me that they were opening up and that they needed people. And so I was like, well, I'm in for a new job, and they were offering $4 more an hour than what my old place was offering. So when I had my interview, it was already after like the higher ups were hired. So all the managers, quote quote, they were all already hired. So I was pretty much only there to be a bud tender, which kind of sucked, but you know, it wasn't that bad. It was actually good in the end, I feel, because that way I got to see, you know, all sides of the cannabis retail spectrum, because the old spot was more on the retail side, trying to sell you the best stuff for the best price, and, you know, jug everybody on deals. But, you know, at the end of the day, even back then, it was supposed to be medical. This is not, like, it's not the point at all. It's actually even part of the reason why I'm not even smoking right now on stream, because I feel like in order to make a difference and to get people to really pay attention and to not put myself in with everyone else that smokes on stream or whatever, I feel like something as small as just not smoking and just straight talking about whatever's going on makes this biggest difference. Get done and out the way so you can get down to business, because, you know, I'm about being productive. I love my sativa. I smoke weed to get shit done. So I was a bud tender, stayed as a bud tender, actually got to learn a lot more learn more than I did at the other place. I can tell you that. Even then, still now, I'm still learning stuff being back in the inventory. It took a little while, but, you know, I guess things takes time. It wasn't until really when I got into the back is where I got to see all of the stuff that goes down. Actually talking one-on-one with vendors, seeing why sales are what they are, seeing why prices are what they are, and taxes have a huge part of that. I can tell you that. So I can tell you right now, all of you people that all get mad when they jack up the prices, that it ain't our fault. It ain't the dispensary's fault. I can tell you that now. This is me being at two places already. One pre-regulation and one after regulation. 99% of the time, if things are marked up, that means that the vendor has raised the price on the retailer. So say you get wholesale pre-rolls for like $5. Now, given taxes and stuff, it's gonna be more like 15 or something like that out to the actual consumer themselves. Because we have a 27.75% tax over here in California, at least in my county anyway. And with that alone can make a huge difference. Even just a small percentage too. I know that in the county up, they're like 1% higher or 2% higher, and boy, already it makes a huge difference on the price. We want to return the favor back on you guys, because I mean, hey, y'all made the choice to come into the shop. We thank you enough for doing that alone. So of course we're gonna try and give you the best deal possible, but without undercutting our own profits. You know, we're doing it just so we can make at least somewhat profit. I'm sure those more retail shops have jacked up the prices even more, because, you know, they in it for the money. But now being at this shop where they care more about the holistic, healing, rejuvenating parts of cannabis, I can tell you that being at this place, it can open your eyes a lot to how people need the plant and how we can show them that. Because, you know, when people walk in, they don't necessarily, especially if they're completely new, they don't know if they need cannabis or not. At the end of the day, no one needs it. Unless you're, you know, in those really delicate states of your life, then yeah, I can definitely understand it. Yeah, I can say that being at this new spot, it's definitely opened my eyes to the cannabis world for sure, as to what the healing aspects are, because there are quite a bit. Yeah, wanted to get into I think we were getting into phase 3 testing. And that's what I have on my first tab here, yeah. So, phase 3 testing has been crazy right now in California. Me being a inventory manager, we pretty much have to ask every vendor that comes in with product if their testing facility is even ready for phase 3 testing, because most people aren't right now. And for those that don't know about the phases and the testing and all of that, and I'm sure most of you don't, the regulations are crazy right now in California. And these phases, which I'll show right now, they're just insane. They're insane. I don't know how well y'all can see that. I'll try and blow it up a little bit. There we go. All right. So, phase 1, cannabinoid testing. Obviously, you have to test for all cannabinoids. CBN, or THC, CBD, CBN, CBG, all of the CBs, there's a shitload of them. I could go on forever, and that would literally be a whole stream or a whole video within itself, like 3 or 4 videos within itself. Yes, as you can see, the check marks basically are for which products need to be tested. So cannabinoid testing needs to be in inhalable cannabis, which means pretty much flowers. Inhalable cannabis products. That pretty much stands for vapes. And then the other cannabis and cannabis products pretty much mean, all the edibles, the drinks, I'm sure tinctures, anything else that's not inhalable is in that category. Yes, and so on to the next one, moisture content testing. Of course, you're gonna need to test for, how cured the buds are and how much moisture is actually in it, because that can actually affect the weight at the end of the day. And it's funny that I talk about this now because we just had problems with weight. Actually, a whole order that we had gotten in, we had gotten eighths in of some of this flour. It was called like mochi or something like that. And they all came out under. An eighth is 3.5 grams of flour. And they were all coming out to like 3.4, 3.3. Now, they probably, when they packaged it, didn't account for the moisture, which is why it comes out under, because they probably packed it at 3.5 exactly. And then, when it's sitting in there, it's just drying. It's literally just drying itself out. So when it, if it sits there for a long time, it'll just be crumbly like dust. So all that stuff needs to be accounted for, because at the end of the day, you don't want the same stuff to happen that happened to us and come out under and send back a whole order damn near just because of that. But on to the next one, category 2, residual solvents and processing chemical testing. Category 1, residual solvent pesticide testing, pretty much self-explanatory, testing for all the chemicals and pesticides and anything like that. Microbial impurities, all this, all salmonella, all that stuff, like the molds and things like that all needs to be tested for. And I would surprise that wouldn't be in here. Maybe that's only in like plants and stuff, but and then homogeneity testing of edible cannabis products. Now, homogeneous, that was like a new word for me, especially coming into this new year. Homogeneous basically means how, things are dosed out and how evenly, and like how they can be evenly dosed out. So like, say you get a chocolate and it's like 100 milligrams, you want to be sure that chocolate is homogeneous and like breaks up into pieces evenly, so you can, dose yourself. Because for those people that need, those like the 2.5 or the 5 milligram dose can break it off into pieces and get that exact one because it's all perforated, But yeah, that's basically only in edibles because that wouldn't make any sense for anything else. And then now we have into July phase 2 testing, and phase 2 pretty much was kind of adding on to phase 1 a little bit. Wasn't really much of a difference, with the residual solvents and chemicals, and then the residual pesticide testing. So but for material testing, yes, I can definitely see for sure, because you'll be getting weird stuff. We all talk about those times when the weed got laced, but not when it comes to dispensaries. I can tell you that it's definitely a lot different. So going on to phase 3, which is what we were pretty much talking about this whole time. So phase 3 coming December 31st 2018 is what everyone is franticking out about, because really we nor do the vendors know little to nothing about what's happening for phase 3. Now, as you guys can see, they're going to be doing like terpene testing, which I'm just going to put it in a nutshell just so I don't take up too much time. But terpenes are basically what give vegetables, plants, just in general, anything that grows has a terpene to it. Let's just say, like, when you smell an orange and you smell the orange peel, and it wakes you up because of the citrusiness. And then when you smell things like lavender, that's like the only one that always comes to mind for a sleepy thing. But yeah, lavender, always makes you tired. You spray some people spray lavender on their pillows to help them go to sleep. But yeah, those same kind of terpenes are actually in cannabis as well. And that's pretty much what gives the plant its either more awakening cerebral effect, or the more couch locky and sleepy effect. So they'll actually be doing more in-depth testing with that, and that way we'll pretty much get people off of the whole sativa indica hybrid type of deal, because at the end of the day it all comes down to the terpenes. Because for some people, an indica can make them feel awake, and a sativa can make them feel tired. And what everybody says, like, that's backwards. So there may be a reason why, because of that, and it could be all going down to the terpenes. So that's for another time. But mycotoxins, fungus, we don't like fungus. So obviously, definitely another thing that needs to be tested for. I'm surprised that has not even been tested for already. That's something super basic. But yeah, wait, give me 1 second. Give me 1 second, y'all. But yes, back to the cannabinoid testing. So, of course, mycotoxins, that being a fungus, they're gonna have to test for that. That's pretty much just a given. That's another thing that they have to test for. Let's go on to the next one, the heavy metals. That's one thing that we really have no idea what they're talking about. I mean, obviously heavy metals can mean anything. But I would hope you're not inhaling any metals, in your flowers. That would be that'd be kind of messed up. But I can see that in the vapes, they use vapes all the time. I mean, they use metals all the time for vapes, and really, those things come from China, I think. All of the vape cartridges and all that stuff. Like, those cartridges come from China, and then it's manufactured there, get it shipped to the US, and then put their oil in it, and then hopefully it works. My gosh, I can't even tell you people how bad these vape returns are. It's insane. I never thought that it would be this bad. I'd never thought it would be this bad. But it's really a thing, and people somehow mess up their vapes. And don't get me wrong, vapes are not perfect. Technology is not perfect. But, when you put oil inside the thing and then you just kind of expect it to work, you're gonna come into so many problems. So many problems, I'm telling you. And I don't think that's like what people have realized yet. Like, this stuff is no joke. I'm telling you, right? I didn't even think we could take returns, given the fact that there's not much we can even do with them other than just send it back and get a credit. So so returns are a whole different thing. I can tell you this right now. But yeah, so I can see that they would need to test for the heavy metals, especially in the vapes, because they need to get that right. And people also need to stop using overpowered vape batteries with very low voltage vape cartridges. Please stop. It'll save you time and me and your money. But on to the next one, and certainly last but not least, I can tell you this right now as I go back to the regular screen. Water activity testing of solid or semi-solid edibles. Now, I'm gonna read that one more time. Water activity testing of solid or semi-solid edibles. Edibles. Water testing. Are you kidding me? Like, they're serious. This is actually real. This is from the Bureau of Cannabis Control, and they're talking about water in edibles. And look at this. They're talking about edibles here, and yet they have a check mark for inhalable cannabis. What? Y'all need to realize how stupid they are. The BCC is full of dummies. They're full of dummies. But yeah, so they are testing for water in edibles, yet they have a check mark for inhalable cannabis. So already right there, like, I'm confused. So, like, what are you talking about? Really, please. So yeah, there's that. And then you have obviously other cannabis products that are check marked as well. But man, I can't even give you a thought, or even just like my best guess as to what that even means. Because I hope that when and if more people see this, they will give me an answer, because boy, I have nothing. But yes, those are just one of the many things that we're having to deal with right now in California, and it's crazy what this stuff is doing to us, and like how much stress it's putting on us. And I'm sure many of you Californians that are cannabis connoisseurs You've been into dispensary and you've noticed that most of your stuff is child lock now. Now, given with phase 3 testing, there's also some other stuff. There's actually quite a few stuff that they don't show on this list right here. There's a lot of stuff. But another thing is that, well, this is more of a checklist for testing stuff, but I can tell you that another thing that they will be doing is they're going to basically do away with the child resistant packaging. Now, that's pretty much how everything was already before, and then they got put into the got put into the child resistant packaging, and now they're saying again that they don't have to do it. Do people see how crazy this shit is? But yeah, it's literally insane on what not only vendors but also the dispensaries have to deal with, and for the most part it's bullshit. And I can tell you that being in the inventory and being back there, it has surely showed me how stressful how all of these phases and testings and regulations and stuff can really fuck with people. Because it's surely messing with us quite a bit right now, and boy, it is insane. It is insane, and we're not even really in it right now. It ain't phase 3 yet. We're still in phase 2. In other news, I can tell you that Jeff Sessions is gone, which is great. I was doing more research on what Jeff Sessions being out of office actually means. And from what I learned, it doesn't mean quite much. Lol. My buddy's like, oh, I can't wait for the stream, and the stream is on right now. It's only me here. But whatchamacallit? So yeah, what does that mean for the cannabis world, people in the cannabis world? Should I show this? I mean, yeah, that's good enough. Why not? Who cares? At least you guys can see. Might be a little. Nah, fuck it. But from what I learned, it really doesn't mean too much. And granted, I only read one little article, and that's just this article from Forbes, which I'll bring up right now. So yeah, as y'all can see, it really, like I said, doesn't really mean too much. Oh, I'm kind of transparent. That's kind of sick. Yeah. So let's see. Now, being the Attorney General, he really didn't. Okay. Rewind. There was a law that was passed, or an amendment. This one right here. I don't know how to say it, so don't make me try. But they passed this amendment, basically, which prohibits the Justice Department from spending any money to enforce the medical marijuana ban on areas where it is legal at the state level. Period. So, with that being said, there is nothing that he could really do at the end of the day. While he may be a huge, opponent and, I guess, anti-advocate for, medical or even recreational cannabis, it really didn't matter. It didn't matter because at the end of the day, there's really not much that he can do because there's this amendment right here that was passed. So I was reading more and more, and basically, yeah, like at the end of the day, it all comes down to this man right here, this freaking asshole. But you know, he says that he's for it, but you know, he's said many things before. We can never really trust this man's word, but you know, at the end of the day, we're just getting one step closer. One step closer. We'll take it. We'll take it. Because, you know, if you actually really put it into perspective, while he didn't have much actual impact as far as what happened, what was going on with like cannabis enforcement, he was an opponent. He was not for cannabis. So now that he's gone, you know, it just leaves more opportunity for us. So, but I also want to let people know that, think about it. This guy was probably the biggest anti-advocate, opponent, whatever you want to call it, for cannabis, and he still couldn't even do much. So think about if there was an attorney general that was like freaking Cheech or Chong or Snoop, they still wouldn't even be able to do much. So granted, Jeff Sessions wasn't in office for you know, for super long, but he had enough time to where if he could have had an impact on it, then he would have made it already. But he doesn't, so he didn't. So I just want to put that into people's perspective, because it may not mean much for us, but at the end of the day, it's a step forward. It's a step forward. And I mean, hey, look at this map right here. This map shows it all. Shows all the facts right here. We are at, you know, we're looking at a little bit we're looking at over half the state already that has either, you know, that has either legalized medically or recreationally. And look at all these bright green ones already. So, you know, it's a slow road, but we're getting there. We're getting there. This whole thing is about to be green soon. I'm telling you, some of these states here, I don't know about these ones. Or this one. No, even this one too. I heard Michigan. Yeah, Michigan's good. Where's the other one? I heard another one was thinking about going illegal too. But yeah, I mean, we're getting there. We're getting there. Whether it be a long road or a short one, we're getting there. And you know, at the end of the day, we all got to get there. We all gonna get there. But I think I'm gonna bring this stream to a close, because I think that's pretty much all the talking points that I have for right now. I think this is more numbers and stuff. So I wanted to show you this one last thing. For cannabis retailers, the amount they have to pay for their license, I think it's monthly. And this is as of October 2018. Oh my goodness. Look at this. I wonder if this is I think this is per year though, and this is what we have to pay per month or something like that. What is it? Annual license fee. Oh, okay. So that means this is how much we make per year then. Yeah, gross revenue. So really, I think we're like in this range per year. Yeah, but I mean, look at that. It could be $15,000 that you have to pay just to even be a retailer of cannabis. Period. That's not even carrying the stuff yet. That's not even getting your zoning license, your what is it? Your retailer's permit for medical and recreational. So this is just a license just to make sure, just so that you can even become a business of cannabis, period. I mean, as you can see, it just racks up 22,000, 29,000. I mean, don't get up to 7.5 million a year, paying over $100,000 a year just for a license. But when you get to that scale, you know, $100,000 is change, I guess. But yeah, so just want to bring this stream now to a close. I want to thank you for the people that stopped in and just enjoyed the stream and just wanted to see what was up. But there will definitely be more. We'll be talking about some more stuff next Wednesday. I'm not too sure exactly what that will be. I kind of had to throw everything together today for this Wednesday stream. I've been kind of hyping it up for quite a while now, but haven't actually put in the work to actually make the stream until today. But I'll surely have more talking points and stuff next week on Wednesday. But yeah, this was a good stream. Talk for an hour. I don't usually do that. I don't usually talk for that much, but this was good. This was really good. I feel that, you know, with like me, this channel will grow. This whole Canna Talk thing will grow within itself and get better. I'll get better overlays, better backgrounds and stuff once that time comes. But you know, we want to get down to the education first, because that's what this whole thing is about. It's about educating people. And you know, not really in this for the money. And you know, I wasn't really in it for the money when I started doing it, you know, 4 years ago. I really wanted to do it just because I was interested, and just because I love this industry. This industry is great. This industry is like, it can be smoke and mirrors, but at the same time, you know, it's there's a lot of cutthroatness going on, and it definitely ain't all fun and games. But you know, some of it is, most of it is. But yeah, thank y'all for stopping by, and we're gonna bring this to a close. I hope y'all have a great night, and I will see y'all next week. Doses.